It's important to contract to the correct insurance specialist within the UK purely to make sure they understand the risk that you're asking them to insure. That way they can bring risk management and training to that programme to ensure that we mitigate against losses moving forward and to ensure that your investment is protected, and also if you're getting loans outsourced that actually that becomes bankable for funders, whether that be a bank, private equity. There's two stages of the insurance that you want to consider, one during the construction phase and one once it's tested, commissioned and becoming operational. During the construction phase, you would want to consider insurances such as contract works or erectional risks, which basically will cover the materials on site. Therefore, if there is damage to those materials, theft, loss, then those materials are protected. Moving forward, as a result of that, you may want to consider advanced loss of profits. That way, if your system was due to be commissioned off on X date and it is delayed due to an insurable loss, then you can protect and actually against that advanced loss of revenue that you will be expecting to be received. When you're looking at contractors that you're getting in to have a look at the systems for you, you would probably want their insurances validated to ensure that they're up to scratch. And what you may also then want to consider is some contingency covers. So should their insurances fail, or God forbid they're no longer trading and you're left with half-built plant, then you have the cover there to protect that as well moving forward. Then once the systems are commissioned and tested and they become your ownership, then you want to consider an operational policy, and this should be based on an engineering wording. That would include material damage on an all-risk basis, which would also cover mechanical breakdown, and then you would also want to consider business interruption on the back of that. So should the system be suffering a loss, then you can cover your loss of revenue as the income is not going to be provided by FITs, RHIs, whatever the incentive may be. You would also want to consider environmental liability insurance, so should there be a digestate leak, that you have the correct insurance policy in place that picks up not only your own cleanup costs but any third-party cleanup costs, environmental agency costs, also legal costs and ongoing testing and sites. Most insurers will tell you this is covered under public liability or property. Actually, it's very limited cover under there and generally legal costs only. And in addition to that, naturally you may want to consider public liability and also employers' liability for the guys who are in charge. There's also insurances to consider for feedstock stored in clamp and maybe some increased costs of workings cover. So should they be lost and you have to outsource it and buy it in again from somewhere else, that could cost you more than what you originally bought it for, so you can insure against these risks. There are other insurances that you may want to consider, but that would be the general core policies we look at. But each policy should be tailored as a site-specific policy and not just one policy fits all. Your main risks to take into account are naturally during the construction phase, generally during testing, commissioning. This plant is unproven, so there may be damage during that phase. So again, you want to make sure that that's insured against, and your policy wordings are extended to include that section. There may also be third-party property damage or bodily injury caused during construction and operational should there be a loss. There could be a build-up of gas that could cause explosion, to ensure you've got some gas valves in place. Also, you may want to consider where the CHP unit is. If it's within the system and within the tanks, then make sure that's encased. If it's not, mainly we would want to look to separate that out. Again, bunding would need to be in place with regards to spillage of digestate to ensure that's contained and doesn't contaminate more than it needs to do. And the ongoing risk management maintenance of the plant is absolutely critical, along with a training program for those people who are going to be operating it. If they come from a general agricultural background, they are in effect going to be operating an engineering system, and they need the right training. Majority of claims are being seen from operator error as opposed to system error at the moment, so that is absolutely critical to get that training program in place.